Hello Dusklight listeners, it's TJ here with another Dusklight check-in. I haven't had a chance to think about the title of this beyond that, whether I'll use something to entice people in or not, I don't know. I'm trying this again, because every time I try to articulate my thoughts, it goes in tangents that, while I think they're helpful, they're probably not. So I'm going to try and address this in a way that is going to reach as many people as they can and hopefully make things a little bit clearer. All I ask is that if you are someone who is on the fence about my content, especially after the chapters and stuff, you just listen to what I have to say. That's all I'm asking. And you can click off, unsubscribe after that if you think my channel is too woke or whatever. If you're here and you liked my work up until that point, then I think there's a chance that you're going to listen to what I have to say. Let me start off with this. I've seen people say, oh, I'm a long-time fan of yours, but I don't like the new chapters. They're pushing an agenda and you know, it's too in my face. And I'm like, okay, I understand that it is abrasive and I will address that. It's necessary in my opinion, but I get that people don't like it. And I'm fine with you not liking it. It's art. At the end of the day, I'm trying to make art, not just a spoopy, creepypasta horror story. And there's no disrespect to that form. That's how I got started. And I'm not trying to say that I'm suddenly a high art, oh, look at me, I'm an elite. It's like, I'm not. I've done this for 20 years, and I like to think at this point I'm a professional. And I'm trying to change and transform my work. So it's going to need to touch on subjects that are not pleasant. And horror is the place for that. Horror is one of the queerest genres you will find if you do your research. Maybe I'll make a video on that, I don't know. There's plenty of them out there. But the idea being that it's abrasive and agenda pushing, well, if you've heard the Bar series, as people know it, known as The Spaces in Between, the very first thing I wrote in Sturgeon, the character that gets the most love is Kraus. Harry Kraus is a trans man. This is established in the story. It's very clearly there. And I've said in interviews that I wanted it to be something where people... It was brought up partly as a parting kind of anecdote from Kraus himself, and everyone just kind of moved on. No one was like, oh my god, you're trans? Let's all treat you different. No. Just move on. Because that's the world we strive for. Normalcy. Where it's just not an issue. That was 2019. No one, or barely anybody, you know, was saying it was woke, or telling me I was shoving an agenda down their throats, or got in my DMs telling me they're going to kill me. None of that. When I did the NFC, it's two women, one bisexual, one queer as hell, fighting on a plinth for supremacy. Got a couple of, women fighting in the finals, that's not realistic. That's fine, I get that, it's a story. But most people were like, muscle mommy, please destroy me. You know? And, you know, I didn't have any complaints then either. I have written queer, non-binary, trans stories many, many times. I think the reason people don't like it, quite simply, is it's aggressive. I'm not going to sit here and, you know, do absolutism and be like, oh, everyone who hates is a bigot. No, some people don't like it, and I understand that. What I want you to consider is that when you listen to my content, you're listening to the content of someone who is under the trans umbrella. I am non-binary. I am not loud about it. I don't mention it in all my videos. I don't mention it. I mean, I'm not on social media much, but it's not there. I'm proud of it, but I'm proud of it in my own way. And I understand that some people are like, oh, you could just keep the content separate. And again, I understand that. But again, what does Everett open with in every transmission? Most heartfelt greetings, they's and gentle them's. And yes, before people point it out, I understand it's reinforcing the gender binary. You're not clever for telling me that. That's not the point. It is the standard I set right away and have done since this channel began. Myself and Lucy are under that umbrella. Autumn Ivy's under that umbrella, and we're proud of that. And regardless of what you may think of the agenda, look outside of the world. Look at where we're at. Look at the violence. I write what I see, and this is what I wake up to. And let me put it this way to you. It's either I write this, or I write nothing. Because the Hotel Inertia, the Season 2 of NFC, they will come, but I need to get this out of my system. I need to write it. If you don't like it, you can simply wait for the next video where it's not this, because you all know that I don't just write this. In fact, this is the first time I've written something so abrasive. I am proud of this work. It is some of the best work I have ever done in terms of character work, setting it up, pacing, world building, and experimentation. And I can tell you now that the book after this, which is all about grief and struggles like that, like the life extension plan on steroids, basically, you'll love it. You love Demi's Adventure, you love There's Only Embers at the End, you love the life extension series, you'll love that, and you'll come back. The same people currently telling me to kill myself and calling me slurs will come back and say, oh my god, this story really resonates with me because of my grandma or my partner. I understand. I've seen it before, it'll happen again, and it's not fine, but people are complicated. You know, I am not going to be here forever. No, none of us are. But for a while now, I have the sensation that I don't have all the time in the world to get what I want out there, to make a legacy, to write the things I want to write, say what I want to say, and publish it. And I don't think for a second I am going to make an impact on the world where I'm regarded, whether alive or posthumously, as a tortured soul who's far beyond their years or whatever the fuck. We live in an age where there are writers who are just unbelievably talented. I can't fucking lay a finger to them. I can't even lay a finger to some of the best no-sleep writers from my generation, so, you know, and that's not me fishing. I'm proud of what I've done, but I know my limits. And if I can exceed them one day, fantastic, but it's not what I'm worried about. But I do want to make sure that my time here, my legacy here, is done in putting out stories that are compelling, that change people's minds, and help other people who are marginalized feel seen. And even when I say that, I'm sure there's people who are rolling their eyes as they sip on their mug that says liberal tears. And you might not think people get marginalized, and if you don't, I really wonder what world you live in where you think everyone gets treated the same by everybody else, because that's not how it is. And I just want people to feel like when they come to Dusklight, it's a safe place. You know, I don't want to see directed at me. I can handle it, but other people, or Lucy or Autumn, where it's comments about them, their gender or lack thereof, their sexual orientation or lack thereof, and just unkind things that you just don't need to say. But we live in an age where people are encouraged to not even stop, pause, breathe, and think about the content and the person. They just go. And I'm asking, especially when I do these chapters, because I'm going to keep doing them, I am asking you to practice kindness. I have to lead by example, and, you know, while I'll sometimes question a person, and I'll get a little bit heated, I won't have a temper tantrum, I won't call names or whatever, because I have to show that we can approach these things differently. And this book has to come out. I have to write this, I have to put it out there. And while it was disheartening when the second act didn't do well, because the analytics, the algorithm hates me because I'm not consistent. And I spoke about it because obviously I'm worried about what kind of content you guys want, and whether I need to slow down my intros or anything like that, or, you know, cut the SFX down and stuff like that to make it quicker. At the end of the day, like, I was speaking from the heart and blaming myself because it's on me. But I don't think for a second that it is my content being woke. And I don't think anybody who follows me thinks that. If I was to show you the analytics, the two most popular videos on my channel are the autopsy and the long goodbye. Right next to them is the Nightmare Detectives, which is in itself very, very queer. So those numbers don't lie. They are by far the most successful things this channel has put out. So I'm going to keep going. But I wanted to speak to all of you just sort of frankly about it, because at the end of the day, people were so kind in the comments and were so encouraging. I'm only human. At the end of the day, I've only done this. I have been doing this, sorry, for 2/3 of my life, in one form or another, and it means a great deal to me when people resonate with what I'm doing. And like I said, the irony is that the same people who are hating on chapters 4 and 5, when we released Beneath the Static on Dark Somnium, which I still consider the best short novella story I've ever written, they're gonna be like, oh my god, this is amazing, TJ Lee, fantastic, Dark Somnium, fantastic. I'm like, cool. So you like my work, and you don't mind gay people, you just don't want it in the way that I presented it before. So you can't win everything. This is largely unstructured and unformed because I don't want to script it. I don't like scripting these. I think it's important that they are a little bit more frank, a little bit more honest. And yeah, I think I just wanted to speak to all of you openly about it. And I probably will again at some point. But for whatever time I have on this shiny little rock, Dusklight Radio is a monument to my own work. It's a monument to the legacy I am trying to make. I'm trying to write stories that are compelling, write stories that can eventually get awards, do things truly magical with what I'm doing, and they probably never will get to the level that perhaps I want them to. I think that time has passed for me, and that's okay. If it entertains you guys, then that's important. That's what matters. And I'm going to keep doing it until the wheels fall off. And when I'm gone, if the world hasn't been engulfed in nuclear hellfire, which I bloody hope not, I want people who feel lonely, feel unseen, maybe feel abandoned, to come to Dusklight as one of many, many channels that is phenomenal at this, and hear this, and know that you will find your people. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to hurt people. But if you're around the right people, you've got the right mindset, you'll internalize it, you'll learn from it, and you'll grow from it. And you'll carve your own legacy. That's my hope. At the end of the day, I just want people to see these stories, to hear the work, and to know that it meant something. That's what we do as humans. We make legacies, we have children, we get married, we find ways of ensuring that we've left our mark. That's most human beings' desires, and certainly mine. And I guess recently I've just been thinking about that a lot. And without pushing that barrier too far down, it was important for me to make this. And it's important for any of you out there with a message where you're showcasing your talents and that of a community that perhaps doesn't get the love it deserves, to keep doing it. And one other thought for you before I start to wrap this up, because at the end of the day, this was created for fun, this channel, and the aim was secondary in that I wanted it to grow, become a more organic community, because Reddit was and is not where it used to be. It's not a sustainable platform, and I'm not on Twitter. I think Facebook is terrible, and Instagram is not really for that. So I knew with 4,000 followers on Reddit and whatnot, and loads of readers I get them over, and it's worked. But let me ask you this. If I was to strip back all the things that made Dusklight special, the introductions, the rigging with Everett, the scripts, of which obviously I already do moderate carefully, and not too much at the moment, I'm not doing enough of them, sorry. If I was to take away the SFX, the dynamic voice acting, and I stripped it back, and again, no fucking shade on people who do this, because man, it's not easy out there, guys, like, trust me. But if I was to take away the things that make me different, and in its place start doing what everyone else is doing, I could potentially make a lot of money. I'd have to start sourcing out other people's stories, because I don't have that many. I've got maybe 100. I'd have to go to other no sleep authors, of which I respect greatly, but probably won't want to have their work done by me, or because at the end of the day, like I do it in a really weird way, or it could be that they've already put that work out multiple times. They're going to have different channels or doing the same story. Or maybe because I can't pay them. I'm only a small channel. I don't know. But then I'm just doing what everyone else is doing. Dusklight becomes that. Make more money, but lose what is making me special. The same with my art. Yes, I could stop doing the chapter. I could stop doing the messaging, but then am I motivated? I'm an artist. I have to do what gets me up in the morning every day. And what gets me up is writing this and producing and putting it out there. Which is why it hurts so much when the second act didn't do well. And, you know, I wear my heart on my sleeve. I was honest about it, but I'm going to carry on, obviously. At the end of the day, guys, the goal has and always will be to make Dusklight Radio, be that the Patreon, on podcasting, on YouTube, to make it a sustainable secondary income so that I can, you know, effectively self-fund through the channel. That's the goal. And the closer I get to that, the more motivated I'm going to be to make good content. I don't think I'll ever be a narration channel that does 2-3 times a week. I just don't think it's me. But if there was demand, I'd have to step it up. I would probably do something differently. But if you're here and you're a passionate fan, regardless of which side of that discussion you fall on, liking the new stuff or not liking it, you're passionate about what I do, would you really want me to do what everyone else is doing? I don't think so. But I do look at the numbers, and I'm you know, I know that chapters 4 and 5 are doing very well. They're the most successful things on the channel, not the Nightmare Detectives. But maybe I have to switch some things up. Just something else to think about. And it'll be okay. We'll all be okay. I think that's it. You've probably been listening to music from the Nobody YouTube channel. Most of my videos get demonetized anyway, even when I use paid licensing music, so I've kind of given up for a little while Ronnie graciously makes me some stuff I can utilize. Which means the intro music's probably changing. Sorry, I am so tired of fighting them on the copyright claim. It's exhausting, so I'm not going to do that anymore. Dusklight Radio and Nightmare Detectives are now on podcasting. This will be a separate ad that will go up at the beginning of videos going forward. Probably going to put all of Nightmare Detectives there rather than YouTube, so it's not clogging up the feed, but I haven't decided fully yet. But they will be uploaded slowly but surely over the next few days, and then you can catch them there, which should be appreciated. But if you want to throw any money our way, just to say thanks, if you enjoy it as a tip or want to get early access content, go to the Patreon. Little as $1 a month, up to $50 a month, which is insane. Please don't do that if you don't have the money. It's an insane tier that was meant to be a joke. It's a way of helping the channel. And I really hope you're all doing well. Don't think for a second I'm not grateful to everybody who joins the live streams, buys the books, wants to interview me for something, wants to thank me for a story. God, the messages I got on Demi's adventure, and the life extension plan on Ronnie's channel, the messages I received, the stories people told were just... We talk so much about the negatives, and we kind of have to draw a line in the sand. I'm not a pussy, I'm not a coward. I'm not going to let people speak ill of me and of the community and, you know, renege on my beliefs. I'm not going to be very aggressive, but at the end of the day, like, I don't stand for that, neither should any of you. You know, in the face of hatred, we should always practice diplomacy and defense. But when we talk about the negatives, we don't think of the positives, and gosh, the things that people have shared, their vulnerable moments, that makes me so happy. And don't get me wrong, it's easy for me to drop this story. I mean, the book's nearly done, but like, go, oh, you know what, people are being mean, so I'm not going to do it anymore. Leave it at chapter 5 and then fuck off and start bringing out book 2. I could, but that's not fulfilling. Work must have backlash. It must have some controversy, regardless of whether it's offending the right people or not, which is such a strange concept to me. You need to be doing something to push the boundaries. I don't think it matters necessarily who, but someone should look at your work and say, I don't like this because it's dangerous or whatever. That's a fucking compliment. And I need to get this out and done, and don't get me wrong, when I'm done with it, I probably will not talk about these issues again for a long time, because I'll be moving on to a piece of me that has been destroyed for years now in my grief, and I need to process that. I need to write that, and it will be one of the best things I've ever done. I've already storyboarded it, and maybe summer next year, winter next year, you'll see it, because myself and Ronnie have planned out what we want to do with the content. Like Beneath the Statics up next. We really want to do NFC season 2. I want to give Sturgeon's current story thing that started with the last scene. I want to give it the send off it deserves. Get it done. Take a break from that and then do something else. So I hope I haven't alarmed anybody with my messages or anything like that. Like, all's good. It is 2:30 in the morning and I wanted to make sure I got something out to you that was sincere. And if it reaches one of you, then I'm happy. And hey, before long, this story will be over and another one will be beginning. And that's what stories are. So, I have tried to end this a couple times and I keep running on with my ADHD brain. So thank you so much for listening into this. And I will see you soon. And dusk enters the station. Take care.